Greetings and welcome to an Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable. We got a dandy for you today. We're talking about Southern Energy Corp out of Calgary, Alberta, under their president and CEO, Ian Atkinson. It is SOU on the Venture Exchange, and it's natural gas, it's oil, but it's mostly natural gas. I'm Rob. Chris Perry, under the weather. That's him over there. That's his glowing, smiling mug, but he's not able to actually speak at the moment. We've got Vishal Vatur in the far corner, living in the penthouse, our chart expert, and then directly above us, our all-around expert is Galen Engen, who's waving and is going to start us off with Southern Energy.
Southern Energy is an interesting prospect because it's feeding off of the oil boom that we are now experiencing, and as sort of an aside, natural gas is also getting a kick. But what's really impressive about this is that natural gas is the only sustainable way that we can produce a continuous flow of energy other than coal. Nuclear is the next step. But we're in the midst of decommissioning 20-year-old facilities now because, well, they're too fucking old. And also we need to shift over to a new technology called breeder reactors so we don't, have 3 Mile Island every other week, or Fukushima, or whatever else you want to put out there. So basically there's going to be about a 10 or 20-year window between now and the time that the nuclear of the new age kicks in and becomes the base power contributor for the power grids, and we can convert over to our sustainable energy in terms of wind and solar. Now, what's really nice about Southern Energy is they operate in the Mississippi Interior Salt Basin, which is a highly prolific region for production of oil and gas in the United States. And it sits down there in a sweet spot of also location, not just where the resources are, but where the transfer stations are. They're right next to the Henry Hub, which is a major pipeline inflow and purchaser of natural gas, which means they get top dollar. They're getting $4.80 per the million barrels BTU or million BTUs. In Canada, we're getting probably about $4, about $4.30. So they're right up there as far as the premium pricing is concerned. The assets that they have are already producing, so they're actually pulling gas out of the ground as we speak, and they have a large infrastructure already in place in the area that they can build upon without much capital investment. The area itself has been left for about 10 years because there was a sort of a fall off as the oil pricing didn't, reach an area where it was profitable to really be there. So they can dip in on conventional assets and start pulling out a lot of resources and continue to build on them. They have 3 specific areas where they're working and can actually produce more in future areas that they're also working right now. Let me see. I'm just trying to figure out here what else I can say about these guys. They have a good.
I can add one thing about their geography.
Yep.
I know that they're all over Mississippi, and they're trying to add in Louisiana and East Texas, so they're expanding. And then your point about hub availability.
Yes, the Henry Hub.
That infrastructure is being added to, and they're not having to pay for it. So in other words, it's almost like they're building out the infrastructure in terms of an export location.
Absolutely.
Are not necessarily their full responsibility.
They don't have a long way to take it out. They don't have to pipe it out themselves. They can get it right to the source and sell it right away. So that cuts down on their costs. Absolutely. They're looking at it like a 7 to 10 year time frame for producing a positive bottom line, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a sustainable pursuit. They've got about 10 years or almost 10 years experience within the area operating these types of assets and finding them. So I like it. I met with Ian Atkinson, the CEO, pre-interview. He did a little interview for our Jody Vance series, and I got to talk to him for a few minutes beforehand before the whole thing got started, and was really impressed with his articulation, also the company's mandate, the understanding that they are providing an essential service, but going towards a conversion towards green energy. They're not just being idiots and bearing burying their heads in the sand and going, "This is what we're doing forever." They're building towards a green energy future, which is pretty awesome. And I'll leave it at that. I'm going to walk away because I know that I've talked a lot.
Yeah, this day and age, people love to hear the word sustainability.
Yep.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I was just going to add on to a lot of stuff here that Galen mentioned about like the natural gas. I almost said liquid natural gas, but that's what I want to talk about, LNG, I guess. But I like commodities. I think you guys know that. In terms of like longer term plays, I've always sort of mentioned it's nice to grab some utility stocks, right? We've talked about renewable energy stocks in the past. I don't think we've mentioned, companies like Fortis BC. I guess here in BC, we're lucky that we use, natural gas to heat our homes and that kind of stuff. But a utility like Fortis BC, I think that pays dividends. Anyone's going to, like, you're always going to be using natural gas pretty much. Is something that can be, a nice stable in your portfolio. Should mention the Oracle of Omaha himself, Warren Buffett. If you remember about a year ago, when markets were dropping, everyone was wondering, what's Buffett going to buy? Is he going to buy something at these cheap prices? Is it going to be this big tech company? Is he going to buy a bank? Is he going to buy something betting on the resurgence of the U.S. economy? And I think, Galen, you remember what he bought, right? It was a natural gas company.
Yep.
He went big into natural gas, and everyone was like, oh, wow. Why do you do that? But
that's his history of value investment, man. He knows what's happening. Yeah. He knows what's going to be a solid a put or a call for the next 10, 20 years. He's building on stuff.
Exactly. And I think that's, Galen nicely laid that out. The move to sustainability, natural gas is part of that. There are some people that, like to say natural gas and uranium are like the mediation or in the middle between fossil fuels all the way to green. But I think, we can make a good argument that maybe natural gas and as, Bill Gates with uranium, maybe that could be the sustainable energy that we need, right? The free, clean CO2 energy. And, LNG is something I want to mention because, Rob, you mentioned exporting Asia, right? I think that's where a lot of people are looking at. But recently, natural gas has a big history with geopolitics. Of course, in Europe, we've seen Britain and parts of Europe had a shortage of natural gas, and a lot of it has to do because they are dependent on Gazprom, right, in Russia.
And Putin ain't going to be friendly.
When there's a lot of the pipes go through the Ukraine, and because of the situation there, the Russians said, okay, you know what, we're now going to build the Nord Stream. That's apparently complete, ready to go, because the Scandinavians want Russian natural gas. The Dutch want Russian gas. The Germans are, we'll wait and see because, you guys are doing some crazy stuff over in Ukraine, and we don't really like that, but they need the natural gas to heat their homes. So they're basically reliant on the Russians. The solution to that has been liquid natural gas from America, right? So if you don't want to get gas from Russia, you can get gas from the US through LNG. But, and this is a big but, right now the exporting of LNG is actually very, very pricey. Gazprom gas is really cheap. The Russians are very efficient at, sending it out. But Asia, I think, is where the U.S. and exports is going to be, a big thing, because the Russians can't really build a pipeline all the way to Korea or China in terms of natural gas. I believe they're going to do it for oil, but a lot of people are still sort of doubtful about how do you defend that big pipeline, right? Like
it's nearly impossible.
Pretty much, right? So LNG is likely going to be the way that you're going to get gas to places like Japan, places to South Korea, places to Taiwan, perhaps even China, right? But I think China is looking at Australia for LNG, but LNG is
Canada is making a lot of deals. My brother is a district manager at Nesbitt Burns, and perhaps I'm speaking out of school and maybe telling things that I shouldn't. I don't know. But they're constantly on the road to Beijing, constructing deals centered around LNG transfers and purchases and ventures. So I think that China is... it has been over the last 10 years. It's grown into the largest consumer of products and resources because it's in definite growth mode. And if it doesn't implode over political reasons, I think it's going to be the next hegemony. And we do well by servicing it.
They need the energy too.
Yeah,
they need the energy. And I think it's great because, we don't really talk about natural gas. It's usually oil that takes the show or steals the show. But I think, yeah, you should definitely be paying attention to natural gas. And if I may, is it okay if I look at the charts now, or is there
Oh
anything
yeah,
else someone wants
please.
to?
Sorry,
Yeah, okay.
go for it.
It's SOU on the Venture Exchange, and it's been around. They've been trading since late November of 18, I believe.
Yeah. So before we look at SOU, let's quickly look at energy. It's been a huge week for energy, but also a nice week for us here at Equity.Guru with our in-play call there. I think we talked about it the day after we talked about in-play. We had a 4% move in oil, and a lot of our technicals were met there, and you can take a look at our in-play work as well. But we're still bullish oil, and what do you know? It looks like we might be testing the recent highs here of $85. And I think if that's broken, folks, those bank, analysis of $100 to $125 a barrel oil seems a bit more likely. By the end of 2022. I'm not saying it's going to happen in a week or two, but
No, it'll take time for that to set in.
and you have a lot of room to go. Something that not too many people are talking about is this big resurgence here in natural gas. I mean, take a look at that, folks. A big,
Wow.
That's a green candle.
13% move in one day. A quick little plug, if you're all part of the Equity.Guru Discord channel, or if you're not part of it, definitely do join us, because pre-breakout, the natural gas chart was one I posted the day after we got the 13.5% move. And, the technicals were great with the range, but I also think, like, seasonality wise, right? During wintertime, you expect to see natural gas to go a bit higher. But, there was a crazy move in natural gas last year, as we all recall, because of the supply constraints. Natural gas has a history of being very volatile. I remember there was a fund manager who I believe was shorting natural gas, and he had to make a apology video on YouTube because natural gas spiked against him and he lost all his money.
Ouch.
I mean, I shouldn't be laughing. It sort of sucks, but natural gas has it's a volatile thing to trade, right, here and there. But as Galen mentioned, I think it's something to watch for in the future. And folks, we probably are going to be one day taking out the highs we printed around $6.20 or $6.40. So let's now take a look at SOU. And generally, when we see the energy stocks doing well, I would, you'd expect that the energy-related stocks would be moving on as well, but not yet right now on Southern Energy. There is a major technical pattern here that we broke out of. It's a wedge pattern, and I've drawn the wedges here for you. We had the breakout actually on the 6th of January, and I want to zoom in here a bit because I want to show you something that's significant even today. But basically, we built a gap. So what a gap is essentially the day after, because volume and the price action was very strong the day before, when the stock reopens the day after, because of all the bids and bullish action, price gaps higher, and you create this huge gap. We had this gap from 39 cents, and the stock opened the day after, not at 39 cents, but at 41.5 cents. Maybe not much in terms of price wise, but for a small cap company, that's quite significant. And we have a gap here essentially. And today we were retesting that gap, and generally gaps do tend to be supportive for the stock. So you can sort of see I've drawn out this downtrend because I said that you could pull back to retest this gap or this trend line before doing this. And quite nice so far. We have some nice bids here. We have a nice wick here. And today, actually, while I was watching this stock live, we had like 80,000 shares traded at first. But near the end of the day, and you can even see it here on the Yahoo Finance chart, but near the last hour and a half there of the markets, we all of a sudden had this huge surge in volume. And I think we traded over 100,000 shares in less than an hour there, which got the stock up to 41 cents, to close the day there. And that's our wick there. So there are buyers coming in. And based on what I'm seeing on natural gas and oil, you would assume that a lot of these energy-related stocks will be getting a bit of that bid there on the, as a correlation play. So things are looking good here so far with this wedge break. And I think as long as Southern Energy here holds that 40 cent zone, well, actually not 40 cents. Yeah, about 39 cents. Let's say 39 because that's exactly 40 cents is sort of where we're at now. Let's say 39 cents because that is the bottom of the gap there. I think there's some room to go, especially if we see natural gas and oil can continue higher. And two ways to enter this now. You could get some shares right now, or you can wait for a break and close above the recent highs here at 44.5 cents, because then you're technically playing the breakout, and you would see a nice sustained move here. Hopefully, what my arrow here is pointing out, that's sort of the trajectory you want to see there. But I know I've been looking at the stock here, and people are excited because there's been a lot of insider buying. The insider buying obviously has come in at a bit lower prices, like around the 20 cents and under zone. The drill program is ongoing right now, so there's a catalyst there as well. And there's people claiming that this company could be debt free also by the end of 2022. So we'll have to see if that comes to fruition. But it is shaping up to be a big year here for Southern Energy.
I could see this. Well, I'm going to throw out the $7,500 available to each of you to decide what you're going to do immediately. But I could see this as not only a long-term thing for some, but also a trader situation for others. Like this could be a little thing you jump in and say, "Hey, I'll give it a week or two and jump back out." What do you think, Galen? You go first with your $7,500.
Well, I'm going to remove my foot from my mouth and agree with you in the sense that this is an incredible opportunity for growth stock. And the reason why I'm removing my foot out of my mouth is the positive bottom line already exists. The company reported as of September 30th, 2021, that it had achieved a total net earnings of $5.5 million. So this company's actually pulling money through the door. They're already operating. They're getting stuff out of the ground. And with Vishal stating the drill program in place, they're pulling more out and they're establishing more resources. So this is a definite opportunity. As I said before, the company operates in the Mississippi Interior Salt Basin. And basically for that, you're looking at one of the most productive sedimentary basins in the United States. It's already produced 1.5 billion barrels of oil and approximately 6.7 trillion cubic feet of gas from 637 fields. This is a highly prolific producer. And this company, as I already said, is coming into what you could say is relatively underexplored because they've been left alone for about 10 years. But already the infrastructure is there. The science saying that it exists is already there. Like these guys are just coming in to sweep up the good shit. There we go. So I, oddly enough, considering what these guys are getting into and where they're heading, I'm typically kind of a trepidatious investor. But you know what? Fuck it. I'm throwing in 7,500 because I think that they're with the catalysts in play already, the production the company's already doing, the smart leadership that they already have, and the trends that we're seeing towards natural gas and where the world is heading over the next 10 or 20 years. This is a moneymaker. This is a Berkshire Hathaway opportunity. So, and being growth and a value investment is a double bonus. So basically, 7,500, man. I'm throwing it all down.
If our old
natural gas, great, man.
If our old friend TK was still around here, he would have given us one of these.
Yes, exactly.
The French food.
Yes, that's right.
Or Italian, whatever. Vishal, what do you think? Big, our pal there is going big.
Yeah, I like this as well, Rob. I think I'm going to be throwing in 3K here in Southern Energy. I like the breakout. That's a bonus. Obviously, you guys know I'm sometimes a bit more trading orientated, but I do like the long-term play here as well. I don't have I lied because I do have a Fortis, so I do have sort of like a utility stock that deals with natural gas, but I don't have something in the smaller side of things. So I think Southern Energy will be the one that I add in my portfolio. We have the catalyst upcoming. We have some production there as well. And I like the trajectory for natural gas for the long term as well. So this is one that I think I'll throw 3K in and hold for the long term.
I'm feeling the vibes from Chris, and I think he's throwing in 5K.
I think he's throwing in a pretty good hunk if he was on board at the moment.
He's smiling. He's loving it.
He is loving it. It is SOU on the Venture Exchange, the Toronto Venture Exchange. SOU, Southern Energy, based in Calgary under Ian Atkinson. And of course, as Galen has mentioned, working down on the Gulf Coast of the United States. Those are our pieces of information and our recommendations and just how much cash we're throwing in, if, well, hypothetical, because you guys are using my money, damn it.
Thanks.
But we cannot guarantee anything. Use this information and education to further your own. So go out, do a little research, do a lot of research, check it out, investigate, because we can't guarantee anything, of course. And past performance also does not guarantee future results. So it's up to you folks yourselves, but we're happy to help. Southern Energy, look forward to talking to you on the next Equity Guru Investor Roundtable.